I'm reading 1 Corinthians right now, and I just got done chapter 7, which highlights singleness and marriage. And I wanted to provide my perspective on the scripture and reflect it to what I've noticed from fellow Christians when it comes to dating. I think we care way too much about finding somebody, and I'll explain. I will be part of a conversation with Christian men right after they go on a date with a girl, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, I wish I could spend the rest of the weekend with her. And then they don't understand why it doesn't work out. And all I could think is, you're going against scripture, you're no longer putting God first, and instead you're drawing all your attention towards this girl. And women, you are not innocent either. I've had talks with girls about making concessions for non-believers or settling for mediocrity because you don't think you'll ever find an honest, God-fearing man. But why is it so important to be seeking God instead of seeking a relationship? 1 Corinthians 7:32 says, an unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the affairs of this world, how he can please his wife. The chapter goes on to say in verse 37, but the man who has settled the matter in his own mind, who is under no compulsion, but has control over his own will, this man also does the right thing. We need to be prioritizing God above everything else. It says in verse 27, if you are free from the commitment of pledging to a woman, do not look for a wife. I'm also a firm believer that when you pursue your calling and what you were created to become, God's going to take care of the rest. God knows your heart and what you want. Do you actually think he has a plan for you that doesn't involve having a husband or a wife? He has a plan for every other part of your life, and you have no problem trusting him on those things. But for some reason, when it comes to a relationship, you really want to make sure God's not forgetting about this one. Our first priority is supposed to be the Lord. Second is supposed to be our spouse, and those are not supposed to be flipped. And when it comes to dating, I personally like to think the Bible skips it and goes straight to marriage, because when you're engaged in your purpose and the right person comes, it's going to be a seamless transition. You're already aligned with God's plan for you. I asked one of my leaders how he knew the person that he met in the elevator was a woman that God created for him to spend the rest of his life with. And he said, if someone gave you the winning lottery ticket, would you take it? I said, yes. And he said it was that obvious. There's no anxiety, no games. You are fully committed to the calling that God has created you for, and now he's blessed you with the perfect person for you. Well done, my good and faithful servant. And if you're single right now and don't agree with what I'm saying, did you ever stop and think, maybe I'm still single because there's still things to my current self that God is still working on in order to prepare me for the marriage chapter of my life? Do you currently have control over your own will? Are you still holding on to what's comfortable even though you know there is no fruit? Are you stuck repeating the same cycles? I know it says in verse 9, if you can't control yourself, get married. And I get there's a fine line between seeking God and completely closing yourself off, because Paul also says, although I wish you were as I am, not everyone has that gift. But the Bible does not say make it your priority. That belongs to God. Matthew 6:33, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and the rest will be given to you as well. Put your focus on God. Put your focus on your calling.